Guys, it's me Faye here at Faye Dusk, and I am with Harmony, and we're once again in the temple, and we are doing another video for the Bite-Sized Spirituality series. And in this video we're going to be talking about moon magic and all that encompasses. So do you follow the moon, I'm assuming, like in your practices? And
yeah, I do. I don't necessarily do ritual for every single aspect that there is, but I do kind of follow and observe the different moon phases.
So do you feel like the moon is sort of like an important part of your life? Do you feel like it influences, like, I don't know, like your feelings and your moods and even things like your menstrual cycle and all that sort of?
I definitely kind of connect it to my feelings and moods and emotions and hormones. I don't know if it is actually what's happening or if that's just kind of how I view it, but it is something that I kind of connect. I do feel that I always find it really, really hard to sleep around the full moon and around the new moon. I find it really, really hard to sleep. But again, I don't know if that's actually because it's the full moon or the new moon or because I'm excited.
So you're like anticipation is
it's kind of like Christmas for me, so I don't know.
Definitely.
So,
and I just love like when you like look outside and like the moon's like full and it's like, I don't know, it's just like so beautiful. Like I like everyone, I suppose, like a lot of people sort of like associate the moon like with sort of like feminine energies and like the goddess and stuff, and I always sort of refer to the moon as like she, whereas I know quite a lot of people do, and like the sun is sort of like he and stuff, even though there's aspects of both in each. But I don't know, just look outside, it's just so like magical. I feel like it makes me feel like really calm and like peaceful, and like, I don't know, I always think of Hocus Pocus as well when the moon's full. Like, I don't know, I just like sort of like every day, I don't know, I sort of, when I was sort of first starting out like in the craft and stuff, and I was sort of reading about moon phases and stuff, and I used to have to heavily rely like on an almanac sort of to look at the moon phases and stuff if I was doing like magic and just in general as well, because I didn't really sort of, and I couldn't just look outside and know like what moon phase it was. But whereas now you find you just sort of automatically just know, like you can just sort of like feel it, I suppose. And what's your sort of like, have you got like a favourite preferable moon phase to either like just in general to do sort of like rituals or?
In general, if I had to pick one, it would be the full moon, mainly because that kind of energy, it's kind of like full force energy to do absolutely anything. If you're doing any magical working whatsoever, full moon is kind of good for everything. Like new moon and dark moon, like waxing, waning, it has different aspects of the triple goddess. In you know, you have your maiden, and then you have your mother, which is the full moon, and then you have your crone, which is your waning. So you kind of, you have different aspects to work with. So, you know, you have, like I said, like the crone and your waning, which is really good for the things that you want to get rid of, and banishings and things like that. And then towards like waxing and getting bigger is really good for
bring into your life.
Yeah, like especially like fertility and things like that is really, really good. But the full moon is kind of full force power of absolutely everything. So if you can only do one, that would be the one that I would pick, because that kind of encompasses everything.
So do you follow like with the full moon that I do, like for my rituals and things like that, I always like the 3-day rule sort of thing, you know, where you have
3 days before and 3 days afterwards, so you have like a full week of the full moon's energy.
Basically,
I generally try and do things on the actual full moon if I can.
But it's nice that you know that you've got that sort of like build up and that leeway as well.
But as well, I think automatically what I do for a full moon is when I can see the full moon in the sky, I think, oh, okay, full moon.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas if you actually like Google it or look into it, the full moon is at its peak.
It'll be like 95% or so, but it looks full. It's full to us anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely. I don't know. I don't know what my favourite phase would be. I think I like the new moon, and that it's always that sort of new beginnings, especially more so now I've gotten older, because I've always really hated change, but now I've gotten older, I always sort of like think of it in the positive way, or sort of things like little goals and things like set myself to try like improve myself, or improve things like in my life sort of thing.
The idea of waxing moon as in growth, to me that's quite nice. I think that's quite, because I mean that's the one thing that I always think to myself about the full moon is it's all downhill from here. Like after the full moon, then it's waning. Whereas with waxing, you're always moving to full power.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas with waning, you're moving away from it.
So it's sort of like the sort of like wheel of the year, really, isn't it? So it's sort of like even though it's sort of like.
It's a cycle.
Ending. It's going to come back, and it's not going to be like over forever.
I certainly don't see any moon phase as being negative in any way, shape or form. I don't particularly like one more than the other. But if I had to pick one for doing rituals or for doing any magical working, generally I would pick the full moon just because it's such a powerful energy for anything.
And it's pretty as well. There is that as well. But I think the one thing I sort of like to touch on as well, I don't know if you sort of experienced that when you sort of first started, especially sort of like in Wicca or different sort of like New Age sort of faiths that sort of rely like on moon phases a lot for like magic and ritual work and things like that. I find that books and things can be so heavily sort of like orientated towards moon phases, and that if you needed to do a spell for a certain thing, but to attract something in your life, that like you can do it if it was the waning moon, because oh my god, like it's waning, like it wouldn't work.
No,
I think sometimes I think it's sort of sometimes I think you sort of have to like sort of like not 100% think or like focus on the fact that if it is like the wrong moon phase that your ritual spell just like couldn't work, or you couldn't do or you couldn't do something on that certain phase, if you get what I mean. I think sometimes people can get too tied up in
I definitely believe in the certain energies and the triple goddess kind of journey, but at the same time I don't apply it to my life that you have to do certain things on certain days and you can't do this, because the whole point of magic and the whole point of manifesting something is that it's your true intention. And I kind of think, well, if you have to wait 2 weeks and 5 days before you can actually do your spell, it's not going to have that same intent that it would originally when you wanted to do it. And I think if your intent is strong enough, it doesn't matter. Like, I used to believe that you couldn't do spells when the moon was in like a void of course.
Oh yeah, you're not. That's what you read about, that you're not supposed to.
That if it's not in any particular sign, that you shouldn't do spells because they won't work. And I used to genuinely believe that. Now I do it all the time. Now, if I want to do something, I do it. I don't even look up what's going on with the moon beforehand. I will connect with the moon, but on a one-to-one basis. I don't Google first.
No.
I don't care what Google says. I do it based on how I feel.
Just do it, yeah, definitely. So I think that's one of the things that you sort of, I don't know, you sort of work out for yourself as you sort of go along your path. But it's one of those sort of things when you first start out, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's almost like drummed into you from all the information that you read and people that you either watch on YouTube or speak to and stuff. Some people can be really sort of like, you have to do this then, or you can, or really affect things if you do it in different phases and all this sort of thing. But it's meant to be as a guide, not like set in stone. That's the main thing to sort of
And I think a lot of the times as well, it does really help you when you first start out. If you think, oh, okay, I can only do banishings, during the waning moon, and I can only do this during this, and I think that really helps, because it helps you get to know the moon phases and what they're associated with. But like you've said, it's a basis of structure. It's not what you have to stick to.
Yeah, definitely. So we have, like, once again, I've enjoyed this, and we've covered quite a lot of stuff in like 10 minutes.
Sneeze again.
Oh dear.
Say bye.
We will see you in our next video, and feel free to comment or anything like that if you want to give us your feedback and stuff. Now hurry before she sneezes. So,
I think it's gone.
Oh, it's gone now.